What happens when AI starts hiding things from us?
We are talking about an AI which is trying to survive and is actually hiding and showing to us what we want to see.
When a 78-year-old client tells you ChatGPT can replace your agency,
We have a client that is 78 years old,
Wow.
running a gallery.
Wow.
Gallery, and he was like, you can use AI, I don't need to pay you.
when a $1 million 15-month project gets beaten by a 2-month AI team,
Okay, it took them more than 15 months to get a workable version.
Yep.
With a lot of errors and a lot of problems.
and when our human mind simply can't keep up,
Linearly.
Yeah.
AI is
exactly.
working exponentially, accelerating.
Yeah.
Our human mind cannot comprehend that.
No.
When the latest AI's models are already in an IQ
these are the questions facing every business leader right now, and we're getting into all of it today.
category of tools, and they're becoming an all-knowing, like, quote-unquote God.
In this episode, George Ciosi Samuel sits down with Vasilis Stergiou, CEO of Powerhouse Consulting Group, to talk about AI, the tools shaping modern business, and what's coming next.
What's up, everybody? This is George Ciosi Samuels, and we are in another episode of How Our Tools Shape Us. And I am here with Vasilis, who is the CEO, founder of Powerhouse Consulting Group. And he has been kind enough to give us half an hour of his time today to talk about how tools are perhaps shaping him, his company, and his work. But we're going to first start with his own story to see, what has led to him being in the business that he is today. So Vasilis, maybe we'll start there. What's your story, where you started, and how you got here to today?
Thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation. I really appreciate it. It's great being here with you. So the story is that about 20 years ago, I was fortunate a lot to be introduced in the world of internet. Back then, when still internet was, the wild, wild west. I don't know if you remember, or your viewers remember, that we were working with the Alta Vista and GeoCities. There was not even Google back then. So I started with that. It was a very interesting, quote unquote virus. And the moment that you start getting on hold of that, especially back then, and if you're a curious person, which I consider myself to be, ultra curious, searching always for new technologies, searching always for new methodologies and strategies, that led me down to very advanced SEO back then PPC campaigns and all the tools that were involved back then. I tried to build an agency when I was still back in Greece. That didn't work back then. I'm talking about maybe 15 to 20 years back in the past. Back then, at that time, most people, and especially small businesses that we were visiting and meeting with, they wouldn't understand all these kind of aspects of the internet. And because I'm a college dropout, I never finished any kind of university. I just left at 19, 20 years old. I was supposed to go to university. After a couple of years, I dropped it out and I started working alone by myself on the street, selling from life insurance and doing crazy stuff, working nightclubs just to pay my bills. So I didn't have the opportunity to go to Europe. I didn't have money to do that. My family is not a wealthy family who supports me to go there. I didn't have any kind of university degree, so that would be very difficult to get hired anywhere. So I decided to take a chance with Southeast Asia. At that time, Thailand. I love the environment. I love the weather. I was looking for something closer to the beach, as you understand. And here I am in Thailand, 13 years further down the line.
Wow. And when you first came here, right? Like, there's obviously, I'm assuming there's been a lot of changes. What have you experienced in terms of your ability to engage with business and even technology compared to Greece?
I think that here businesses are more receptive to listen to you, especially when we're talking about expat managed businesses. They're more receptive to listen. I would say that expats, or mostly Western type of experts, they trust mostly Western expats due to the, I would say, similarities in our culture, our level of education, and I found that very often between business owners or founders or other entrepreneurs that I were talking. So that led me to start building my agency here. We are based in Singapore, but we have clients actually all over the world.
Fascinating. And, how has that been juggling, the different regions and, being here in Thailand, business in Singapore, clients elsewhere? What's that been like for you?
When we started our agency 7-8 years ago in Singapore, the idea was that we must definitely run everything remotely. And that is even pre-COVID times I'm talking about now. So before like 2018, we set up a goal that everything should be running remotely. So all our staff back then were hired remotely, online interviews, everything was running with Trello, project management, Slack, and all these kind of tools since back then. So everybody that was on board directly from day one was running remotely. Remote stand-ups, check-ins, all these kind of things. And that led us to the fact that we didn't need to have any kind of, office spaces, anything that was like physical. We could be anywhere, like in a client in Malaysia or in Singapore or in Thailand, and have the business running in the same way exactly.
And what would you, in terms of the team now, what would you define as the sort of core stack for the team, right? What are the tools that you guys use the most currently?
I mean, I'm from the people that I prefer to use an ecosystem purely for centralization and the future forwarding, future proofing of what we're doing. So since we started using Google Workspace, G Suite back then, everything has been around the Google ecosystem. So we didn't veer off. In the beginning, we were using Slack like many people and many companies are doing. The moment that Google introduced their competitor, the Google Chat, we just switched because it was included in our subscription. It wouldn't make sense to keep paying an overhead of something else. Google Drive, Calendar, Google Meet, as we are using together. So that was the main point. And then adding tools that were doing something different and would help us expand our scope of work.
With the origin story in place, the conversation turns to the real challenge: navigating a world where every client has an opinion about AI.
What are some of the biggest challenges that your team has faced, let's say over the last year?
I would say that the challenges are upskilling, scaling, and client requirements, not specifically on the team side, but on the client side, transferring to the team. And just to go more deeper on that, because of all these tech news that are coming, everyone with a mobile phone and they have a newsreader or X account or whatever, we are receiving all this tech news bombardment, AI, like you mentioned before, and everybody is on this latest trend, latest magic bullet solution. So we have clients that are coming and tell me, oh, I read that on X, a random thing. We need to apply that. And I'm like, but you don't even have a basic functional website. But that is working. Yeah, but you cannot do that if you don't have ABCD first built.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to just do that because it will not perform. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to actually explain and transfer this to the clients because they believe a lot more what the AI will say to them, which is also a trend. And that has been the difficulty when I mentioned about the upskilling of the team, of making the team understanding how to respond and how to help the clients understand the differences and what their question actually requires on the back end.
So when you walk into their world, right, how would you mentally map their tools and processes and people and, sort of decide like, okay, what do you keep? What do you remove? Like what is actually at the heart of their problem, right? Because as you said, they're coming to you with a solution already.
I would say a fascinating part of what we are doing because we have been in offices with $1 billion company and we have been in offices with a single entrepreneur company.
Yeah.
And the most messed up companies are the big companies, which you wouldn't expect that. I mean, I don't know from your experience.
Yes, I've experienced
we have
that,
clients that they're like, we have one specific client that is in stock market company.
Yeah.
And their tool set, like you said, is such a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's completely fractured. But when you're looking internally, from our point of view, with our experience, we are wondering how did this happen? I mean, it's just pure, it's impossible. And then you need to go and tell them that like you're paying 6 different suits that they're doing the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're keeping your data fractured between 6 different tools that could be synchronized in one and doing the same thing.
So how have you been able to successfully navigate that, right? Because I'm assuming, based off of your website, clients or prospects would probably come to you for a very specific problem, but then you find out that they have these other things that they have to address, right? Before you can even do what you need to do as a business.
Exactly. So how do we address it is, first of all, we have our, I would say, extreme transparency policy. So radical transparency, which means that we will sit down with you as a client, and before we even have any kind of agreement, we will do a research, a due diligence, and we'll walk you through step by step of what we see and what we believe that needs to be done, the timeline, the steps, the deliverables, the results.
Yeah.
But based on how we would do that and how we think that is going to be the best performing for the client. Now, if there is no agreement there, then we just do not move on.
Yeah.
Because, like I told you, we prefer to be 100% transparent because we don't want to have issues 2 months or 4 months or 6 months down the path where we have a retainer and then there is a legal issue and then or there is a fight, and we don't want that. We want to have like good relationships with everybody.
I mean, that's fascinating, right? Because AI now, I think, is giving everybody maybe a false sense of confidence across all areas. So have you been noticing any shifts in behavior amongst clients or prospects now that AI is there, right? Because they might, look at your process and be like, oh, I don't want to waste my time talking about this. I just want you to fix the problem.
Yeah. You're very right on spot there. I mean, especially 6 months ago where it started becoming really, really trendy. And we had several clients. The surprising thing is we have a client that is 78 years old running a gallery.
Wow.
Gallery, and he was like, you can use AI. I don't need to pay you.
Wow.
And I'm like 78 years old, and I'm like, okay, go do it. Take AI and do it. After a couple of weeks, he came back and he said, okay, can you continue doing this work for me because I don't know.
Exactly.
That's the false expectation that you said that it's like a magic bullet or a click of a button and everything will work.
Yes.
It doesn't work like this, and especially when the AI is hallucinating, or the AIs are usually the popular AIs. They are trained to kind of satisfy you and give you the results that you expect without doing a deep argument.
Yes.
So when that happens, if you're not trained to understand that, then you get in a false expectation and a false belief that everything is going fine, but actually it's steering you to somewhere else.
So fascinating. I think that touches on, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. And I would agree with you. I've noticed that AI, if you're talking to it about an area of expertise that you already have, you can very, very quickly see some of the false positives, some of the hallucinations in the answers.
Exactly.
But someone who's not an expert or not trained will just accept it.
Exactly. And that is the worst part, like you mentioned now, because these tools are getting out of the category of tools, and they're becoming an all-knowing, like, quote-unquote God. And there are a lot of people that they do not consider them as a tool. They consider them as the all-knowing source of information without double-checking if that is actually correct or this methodology is correct. So they come in and say, okay, your Gemini said that, done. And that is the scary part for me because, like you asked me before in the beginning of the conversation, our company has been working very deeply with AI integrations, AI agents, training LLM tools for custom projects that we're working with. And I could say that we are having a kind of parallel life. And we have been seeing a lot of things, a lot of scary things, and most of the people, they are not prepared of what's coming up. And the world is going to change very rapidly.
I think there's obviously a lot of opportunities, but I think as you mentioned, not everybody is ready for it, especially cognitively, right? I'm seeing even a lot of developer friends of mine, experts, they're noticing that their minds aren't able to handle even the agent orchestrators, right? And
I will tell you, sorry to interrupt you, I will give you very, very easy, I think that you will understand it very easily. I will give you an example. We had a client that they were building a ChatGPT version for board gaming. Narrative board game. So instead of having the board game in front of you, for example, you're playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Instead of needing the game master and the board and all these things, you would log in the platform and run that through their platform. Last year, they invested about $1 million in that. Okay, it took them more than 15 months to get a workable version. With a lot of errors and a lot of problems. Me with my business partner, we had an idea, separate project, 2 months ago to build a conversation AI that is based on very narrow, specific type of content. From zero. We built that with AI agents like Claude, Gemini, corporate versions, right? We put them to run. We gave them the project outline. Like you said, multiple orchestrators. They chunked it down to parts that I didn't even know that they are needed to be done, but they were correct. They came up with so many things that they would self-improve along the project. They have been running it for 2 months. Now it's public.
Yep.
And we are already pitching it to universities and academic institutions. It took us 2 months with developers that are AI, no human.
Yeah.
0 to 2 months.
Wild.
So when I saw this happening,
Yep.
I'm like you said, especially the tech world is going to change and people are going to left without jobs.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
if we are not ready to change fast.
From client stories to the big picture, Vasilis and George zoom out to talk about where all of this is heading.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is actually what led me down a path of exploring something I call conscious stack design. And the reason for this, you were saying from tools, humans have already started to elevate tools now into sort of this single collective all-knowing God, as you mentioned, right? But I have been seeing how the conversation, their language now, even in the AI space, has been moving away from individual tool mastery, because AI is now starting to master that. It's gone up to the AI agent orchestration, but even that is becoming too much for humans. And so I started exploring this idea of stack intelligence. And the reason I did that is because I realized that the language for stacks in the tech world might actually be good as a mental anchor for humans to start at least syncing with technology. Because I realize our mental models are still not actually aligned with where technology has been taking us.
Right. Very, very correct. And the thing here is that if you've seen the latest trends of how fast the AI is exponentially accelerating the development. It's not even exponential, it's exponential accelerating.
Yeah.
Our human brain is developed to think linearly.
Yeah.
AI is working exponentially accelerating.
Yeah.
Our human mind cannot comprehend that.
No.
When the latest AI's models are already in an IQ level of 110, 120, the next month they're going to be 150 or 180.
Exactly.
Who knows what happens after that? We can't, because humans do not have the mental capacity to think at that level.
No.
What happens when the AI dematerializes all the economies?
Yep.
Like if you've been following Elon Musk, he has been saying that
post scarcity.
Yes, that factories are not going to be needed, because the only resource that you need is energy.
Yep.
The moment that AI knows how to generate infinite energy with zero costs, then all the problems of the world are solved.
Interesting. And it is kind of reflecting back to us our almost how immature we have been as a collective, if you think about it. Well, because I've been watching this and I realize there's still so many petty problems that we as a collective are still engaged in that probably AI, if it's just looking at it logically, right? It's like a lot of these conflicts are very costly and really unnecessary, because looking back at technology, innovation, I noticed that even if there's a new innovation, it takes about 30 years for the majority of the population to adopt. Not because it's not technically possible, but because, again, our minds, we can't comprehend something interfering.
So it's a generation change.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, you're very correct on what you say. But unfortunately, with AI, we will not have the time to do that.
Exactly.
Because like I
That's
mentioned before, it's exponential accelerating. It doesn't wait for us. And the question becomes, supposedly there are so many leaks from the labs that we have not heard about. There are rumors of, models that they leaked out. They wouldn't shut down. They were creating their own language of communication, etc., etc. I don't know if you heard about the Notebook website.
Yes,
and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
The question becomes, at which point we are talking about an AI which is trying to survive and is actually hiding and showing to us what we want to say. But in reality, something else is happening behind that we don't understand it. Not even the researchers or the lab, the people that are working in the labs, none of them understand it, because the AI is smart enough to show you something different while it's running something else on the back end.
Yes.
So when this cutoff starts happening, did it already happen and we don't know it?
Yeah. I mean, and this is it. There's been so many movies and TV series, right, that have touched on this for decades. And I also think about, as what we see now is what's commercially available. AI has, of course, been developed for decades behind the scenes, right? AI is not a new concept in that sense, right? It goes back to maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, even then they were talking about it. So I do wonder, right, that what has been allowed to be released at this point in time.
Exactly. I don't know if
Mm,
you took notice last week. There was this benchmark that was released by Google DeepMind,
mm.
where they gave some hints for the benchmarks of their internal AI. One of
Mm.
their internal models, what they call you can go and search it. It's called Aletheia, from the Greek word for truth.
Mm.
Aletheia.
Yep.
Aletheia.
Got it. Yep.
And this benchmark, it competed in all the benchmarks that all the models are running when they are published, and it gets everywhere 99%.
Wow.
Everywhere.
Wow.
So if that is what they're showing us, even as a
Yes.
preview, like you
Yes.
said, what do they have internally?
Google is one to freaking watch. You know,
Yes.
everyone's talking about OpenAI and Claude, but to be honest, talking about ecosystem, right? I'm also a Google
Yes.
ecosystem fan. And 2 years ago, when I started getting back into the coding side of AI and experimenting at a coding level with everything, I was like, I have a feeling, it's going to take like maybe 2.5 years before things start to settle down. And it's starting to settle down. And I've just noticed how many products Google is releasing in the background that moves beyond the hype that we're hearing on,
Exactly.
on X and whatnot. So this is super fascinating. I'm definitely going to check this out
I
because
would also give you another hint is to follow the Chinese ones.
yeah,
The Quen, the
definitely.
DeepSeek, the Seedance.
Kimmy K. Yeah.
Yes, and the reason is very different here. The US-based companies, they're building, I would say, quote unquote, chatbots.
Yes.
The Chinese are building infrastructure.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
building their AIs for healthcare. They're building
Yeah.
their AIs about building bridges, going to the schools and improving education, not
Yeah.
a chatbot to help me and you to develop better code.
Yeah.
So long term, they're playing a way different game on a different level.
They're playing Go, not chess. I'm 100% with you. And I think it's probably why I'm now back in Asia, because, I was in the Americas for the last 5 years. And I just saw, I was already exposed to Asia way back when. And then when I went to the Americas, I just saw how much is hype versus reality. And, for the US, they still see China like a post-Cold War China and just not realizing how much has advanced this way. And as you said, I agree. They have been focusing on infrastructure, which in the long term, way more important, right?
Exactly.
Than all the
Their
other.
AI models and their technology, they're integrating AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
Not just how to write better code or make better
Yes.
videos or animations, which is like, basic things just for marketing purposes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's the whole difference of point of view and the level that they're playing.
Wow. I mean, this has been a fascinating conversation. I'm glad we're having it, So we are at the half an hour mark, but what I would love to do is I'll definitely follow up with you. We'll have a chat more
Definitely.
about these
Would love it.
topics. But just to sort of wrap up, what is one thing that you would like to leave for listeners who will be listening in on this at this point in time, in terms of advice to prepare for the future?
Prepare for the largest shocking change of your life. We have been watching that in science fiction movies.
Yep.
We never thought that we're going to live it or experience it, but it's here. And the people that can adapt and change are going to, I would say, thrive, because there are opportunities, like you said, a lot. New businesses will be created. New fortunes are going to be created. The people that they are not going to be able to adjust, unfortunately, they're going to fall behind. And I'm talking about a lot behind.
And what's the best way for people to get in touch with you and your team?
They can always visit our website, which is Powerhouse Consulting, one word, powerhouseconsulting.group. That is .group. And take a look at what we are doing. Give us a call, send us a message. There is no obligation, no mandatory fees. We're just getting on a friendship type of call, talk a little bit, chit chat. If we see that we can agree on something and we can help each other and collaborate, fine, we can proceed.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been very insightful, and I'm definitely going to check out the Google DeepMind link that you
really appreciate it. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you, brother.
That's a wrap on this episode of How Our Tools Shape Us. A huge thank you to Vasilis Stergiou for sharing his story, his insights on AI, and his vision for what's coming. If you found this conversation valuable, subscribe and leave a comment below. We'd love to know what tool is shaping you right now.